So why shouldn't you vote as a British expat living overseas? Now, before doing that, go over to adamfad.com, especially if you're an expat or high net worth individual, and see how I can help you. Now, that links me actually to today's topic, because a lot of people assume the decisions they make aren't always related to finance and investing unless it's strictly in the financial domain, but that's actually not true. And this voting issue is a perfect example. Now, a lot of people might be clicking on this video thinking, oh, he's saying that Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer are both useless, so what's the point in voting? Well, people might take that, decision, and I can understand why, but that's not why I've made this video today. So basically, the biggest mistake that British expats make, as I've said before on this channel, is thinking that they don't need to pay inheritance tax. And I'm going to explain why this is relevant to voting in a few minutes. But before doing that, it has to be remembered that taxation is different when it comes to earned income and also when you die. So it's true to say, as a British expat, it's not like Americans. If we move overseas, like I did 13 years ago, as long as you don't keep too many ties to the UK, HMRC have a ties test, you can legally not pay British income tax and national insurance and other major taxes. That is very true. Obviously, this isn't tax advice, but that's true. Especially if you don't spend too much time in the UK. It gets a bit more iffy if you're spending 90, 100 days in the UK and have many ties. And it is true with the ties test that even if you only spend 40 or 50 days a year in the UK, but you keep too many ties to the UK, sometimes you can become a tax resident. But the point is, for British people, it's fairly easy not to have to pay British income tax unless you've got British assets like rental properties and so on. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't need to pay inheritance tax when you die, because domicile is different actually to tax residency. You could be a tax resident of Singapore or Dubai or Qatar for 40 years, not pay a penny in income tax or any UK taxes, but when you die, you are subject, or your beneficiaries, your children or whatever, will be subject to UK inheritance tax usually. But it does depend. You have to make sure you deal with this domicile issue. Now, there are many ways of dealing with this domicile issue, and me and my team can help you alongside lawyers we partner with to deal with the domicile issue and see what's best for you. There's trust, there's different ways of doing it. But the point is, you shouldn't think you don't have to pay UK inheritance tax just because you don't pay UK income tax. And it could cost you a fortune. It could cost you hundreds of thousands, if not millions. It's not just for the rich. If you've got 2 or 3, 4 million pounds, UK inheritance tax is 40% above a certain threshold, which is £325,000, I believe now, or £650,000 for married couples. Now, it does depend on many factors, but that's the bottom line, really. So why is this related to why you shouldn't vote? Well, in the HMRC manual on domicile, they make clear that if you are a member of a political party, so you're paying to a political party, or you vote in elections, that could be considered that you have a UK domicile. Because let's say you've lived in, I don't know, Australia for 40 years. You're supporting a political party in Australia, you're paying your membership to that political party, or you're just voting in Australia. That shows that your new home is Australia. That could be one of the ways they look at it. Not the only way, but one of the ways. In comparison, if you are paying money to the Conservative Party or the Labour Party or any major political party, or you're regularly voting in UK elections, that's a sign in some ways that you still might feel like one day you're going to return to the UK. It could be a sign that your domicile is still in the UK. So the bottom line is, when it comes to domicile, it's better to A, get formal advice, which this video is not, but then B, actually keep as few ties to the UK as possible. If you're voting for political parties, you're a member of a political party, you're spending 50 days a year in the UK, you've got loads of assets in the UK, including properties, you haven't put a trust in place or something like that, you're just increasing the chances and the risks of your children paying inheritance tax, basically.
on every person's individual goals, how much money they want to invest, how long they want to invest. And I did not have at all the feeling from any bank with which I had contact with that they were interested in these things. Whereas with you, it was from the very beginning obvious to me that you had experience in these matters and also were interested in what I wanted to achieve.
Anyways, I'm very, very pleased and positive to say that I believe I've picked the right one. The results in the last couple of years have overreached my expectations by far, and I see no reason why it should not continue. Of course, I can highly recommend him as your financial advisor for now and for the future, because hesitating is missing out.
So I'm investing a lot in the Middle East market, but the amount of returns I'm getting from there is very low as per the amount of returns I'm getting from the investment portfolio which you made for me. Obviously, the best result in market right now is Adam.